All right. Welcome again. My name is George Asian, and let's look at how to be an interesting speaker, part two. If you missed part one, this is what we talked about in part one. We said that the first thing you want to learn to do is to understand the power of pictures. The power of pictures. Pictures will make a strong impression on people. You can use slides. That will be fantastic. Make you more engaging, more interesting speaker. We said pictures speak 1,000 words. Moving pictures, if you can use videos to buttress your points, speak 10,000 words. And moving pictures speak 10,000 words. And props, actual props, speak 1,000,000 words. We also said another way to engage audiences is to use interesting facts and figures and quotes. And then we said the third way to be an engaging speaker, to be an interesting speaker, is to find your voice. We talked about that when you find your voice, you become a very interesting person. To find your voice means to find your purpose, because the purpose of life is a life of purpose. To find your voice, to find your mission, to find your assignment, to find your essence. That's what it means to find your voice. To be a soloist. Then we also said that you should to be interesting, to be an interesting speaker, you must be interested in people, in life, in patterns, and in power. Be interested in people, in life, in patterns, and power. And then today we will talk about something very important, which is a very interesting part of being an engaging speaker, and that is to know your audience. So, audience analysis precedes audience engagement. I often say that audience analysis precedes audience engagement. All what that means is that before you can engage any audience, you've got to know them to a large extent. And we say that when you combine audience analysis with audience engagement, the result is audience appeal. And so when I evaluate my students who speak, I tell them, you want to analyze your audience, know what kind of audience you're dealing with. So we have demographical analysis, we have psychographical analysis, and we have situational analysis. That if you want to know their gender, their age, their occupation, that will inform the stories that you share, the ideas that you share. Sometimes we need to simplify stuff. John Maxwell says that an educator takes something simple and makes it complex, but a communicator takes something complex and makes it simple. So, and I like the idea because how that happens is when you have your demographics right. You sit down. It's part of your preparation. You're speaking and you just work on the subject matter. You're not thinking about the people you're speaking to. So, like I say, when you're speaking, four things matter in your preparation. Number one, your subject is key, but beyond your subject, the kind of audience you're speaking to is also very important. You got to analyze them, research them. Number three, your purpose, objective of your speaking is also very important. And then number four, also very vital, is the sequence, the arrangement of your presentation. So, how do you become interested? You want to know your audience, you want to analyze them, do your demographical analysis, do your psychographical analysis. Are they V decoders? Are they F decoders? Are they content driven decoders? Those are things beyond the scope of what I want to share, so I don't digress. But analyzing your audience and then engaging your audience subsequently will enable you to be very, very interesting speaker. All right, so know your audience. One of the most audience research is the most important activity a speaker should engage in. And Tony Robbins says that before you can influence others, you must first know what is already influencing them. Before you can influence others, you must know what is already influencing them. And that is so very powerful. So, what other ways can you use as a speaker to engage your audience? Because we're talking about how to be an interesting speaker. We've looked at many ideas using prompts, using pictures, using moving pictures, finding your voice, being interested so that you can be interested. We talked about those thoughts, doing your audience analysis, very vital. Another way to become an exciting I'm an interesting conversationalist, and not just a conversationalist, an interesting speaker, is to spice your speeches with stories. To spice your speeches with stories. And someone says, "Oh, where do I get stories from?" I'll give you some websites you can go visit as a speaker and you get stories. You can check out google.com. Google will give you interesting stories. You can even change the stories that you have there to Nigerian stories or African stories. Change the names, change the locations, and customize them, tailor them to fit your audience and so on. So they can relate. You can also go to YouTube. YouTube.com will give you interesting stories. There are many other places you can get stories from and customize them for your use as a speaker. genardmethod.com/resources. genardmethod.com/resources will give you very, very creative content for your storytelling. sboyd.com/speaker stories. sboyd.com/speaker stories will also give you very interesting content for your stories. And then fearlesspresentation.com fearlesspresentation.com/short stories will also give you very exciting stories to share. All right. So, you see, stories are the currencies of every human contact. People may forget all of the details, but they won't forget the stories. Stories are repeated. If you're doing a presentation in front of a bunch of investors or customers about a particular product, I often recommend that you tell a story, build a business around a story, and you'll make a lot of progress. A lot of progress. A lot of progress. So storytelling is very key and vital to your success as a speaker. How dare you speak without a story? You know, and but a question, a guys will say, George, you're saying tell a story, tell a story. Okay, very good, very good. How do I now tell a good story? Right? Is that the question in the back of your mind? Some people will tell stories and the stories will be so long and boring and they disconnect with the audience. You won't be able to tell fantastic stories. So let me just quickly give you 5 elements of a good story. 5 elements that make a good story. 5 elements of good storytelling in your presentation. So, number 1 is make sure that your story has character. I'll explain what I mean by that. During the lockdown, I had the privilege of going out, to do stuff. So I'll go out in the morning and then I'll come back in the evening. And I have 2 lovely daughters okay, I didn't have a son at that time. I have 2 lovely daughters. I have a second daughter by name Michelle. Michelle is a beautiful girl. Gap treated like the mom. Very enthusiastic, very exciting. I love her so much. She has the skin of the mom, but my face. She's my second daughter, and I really appreciate her. So one particular day, I came back home and I was looking tired, exhausted, and I wanted to go and there's the coronavirus thing, the COVID-19 thing was all over the air. There was so much news about it, about the need to wash your hands and so on. So when I got home that day, I was so excited to see her. And she shouted, "Daddy!" So I ran towards her and I wanted to hug her. And he said, "Daddy, stop. Daddy, stop. Haven't you heard that you have to wash your hands first before you touch anybody?" And guess what? I stopped and I said, "Oh, really?" So I went to wash my hands and shank, cleaned my hands very well before I could hug her. So what I just did in that story, I shared a very short story, is that I told the story of my daughter. And if you were following me, you probably imagined my daughter. All right? I gave her character. I entered a conversation with her. You could just literally, and the thing is, when you build your character story in your presentation, a good story should have the actor and the villain. I mean, the actor and the villain thing has always been there. You have Nollywood exploiting, no, not Nollywood, Hollywood exploiting that. Hollywood, in every movie, we have the actor and the villain. When we're much younger, we say actor and the boss. So in every story that will make an impression on any audience, there has to be the actor, the boss, even the good, the bad, kind of dynamic. It will help the story to come out right. right? So that's one thing you need to have in your character, your storytelling. They must have personality, feelings, and humanity. People should be able to identify and connect with them. So, like in the story I just shared, very short story, right? So it had my daughter, and so if I were to ask you who is the villain here, apparently I'm the villain in that context, in that story. And then who's the actor? My daughter. See? So that's how to develop stories. The story must have character. Number two, the story should have dialogue. What does dialogue mean? Dialogue means exchange or conversations. In even the story I shared, my daughter talked to me in my story. Okay, I literally mimicked and mirrored my daughter in that storytelling I was sharing. So dialogue inspires the audience imagination. It inspires the audience imagination. Most jokes are based on dialogue. You see any comedian, most of them, their jokes are based on that on dialogue. And then you also notice that um, dialogues in a story reveals the creativity of the speaker. If you're a good speaker and you know how to use dialogue, you see how great a speaker you are. Another element of a good story is that there has to be action, movement, and drama. There has to be action, movement, and drama. Don't just tell a story for a story's sake. Let there be some little bit of activity. Like in the case of my story, my daughter was said, Daddy, don't hug me. So there was some kind of action, some kind of activity in that story. And a bit of suspense will make a good story have a stronger bite. A bit of suspense, and of course, your punchline, your point. There has to be a point, right? There has to be a morale, there has to be a lesson, there has to be philosophy. Storytelling is powerful. It's a currency of every human contact. People repeat stories, and it will make a lot of sense. Let's look at another point. Another way to be very engaging is when you speak, be passionate. Passion persuades people. The excitement of any audience is the enthusiasm the speaker displays on stage. You want to be enthusiastic about your subject. You want to speak from the point of conviction and not just talk, but speak from the point of conviction. So enthusiasm is vital and key to success as a speaker. So passion persuades. Use passion to make your audience more engaged. People feel the passion, should feel the passion in your voice, see it in the way you move your body on stage. Another very interesting thing that you should do is sprinkle humor and jokes in your presentation. Now, if you can sprinkle humor and jokes in your presentation. Not everybody's good in doing humor and joke. I think that when it comes as a rule, for me, I allow humor to come to me. I don't go to humor. I don't deliberately try to be funny in my presentation. I rarely ever try to do that. I don't deliberately try to be funny. I just allow humor to come. When it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I just do my thing. All right, but if you're good at that, and there's some folks who are good at that, who just know how to, so you sprinkle it. And I think the easy way to get people to laugh about your subject matter is to tell a story about yourself. Some failure experience, some mishap, something that you should have done better that you didn't do well, and people will love you for that. Humor is mankind's greatest blessing, Mark Twain said. Mark Twain says humor is mankind's greatest blessing. So let's look at another last 2 points. The last 2 points on how you can be an interesting speaker. Part two. I think this is very engaging. Engage in a conversation with your audience. How about that? Don't just speak to your audience or speak at your audience. Speak with your audience. To speak to your audience is a presentation. To speak with your audience is interaction. You want to you want to involve the audience in that conversation. You don't just want it to be a presentation. You want it to be a conversation. And you can start off presenting, but along the line, give your audience the lead for them to respond to you or to interact with you while you are doing your presentation. You're not taking away, you're not moving into a question and answer session. No, you're just doing sometimes you're just breaking the norm and then getting them to talk to you, respond to you, or doing an illustration with somebody, or getting the person to stand up and talk with you. That is what makes you a powerful, engaging, stimulating, and interesting speaker. And you can do that. And then finally, how do you interest any audience? You want to dress to impress, dress for the occasion. People will first see you before they hear you. People will first see you before they hear you. So be careful about how you dress. Dress for the occasion. Dress to impress. Dress for the occasion. People will first see you before they hear you. And interesting about dressing is that dressing also adds confidence to you. And for some people who have confidence issues, one of the ways to diminish and to boost your confidence is to dress well for the occasion. If I have a presentation to do anywhere, very often, I will dress my best. I'll look my best. I look very well, very good. And that way, I would have the confidence that I need. And because I have confidence and it's reflecting in my body language, in my appearance, and there's the congruency of the quality of the message, congruency with the quality of the message I'm sharing, I would naturally influence people who are there. They say, wow, this guy looks good and he speaks well. So, guys, those are a few ideas I've shared with you about how to interest an audience. Go out there in your next presentation and take into cognizance these things I've shared. So, let me go over a few of them for those of you who didn't follow from the beginning, from the part one. The first thing is the power of pictures. If you can, use pictures, use slides to present. And I said that pictures are in dimensions. We have still pictures, we have moving pictures, and we have props. Still pictures are pictures, just there. It's like moving pictures, videos, and props are the actual object, bringing the actual object to the presentation to help you. We said number two, use quotes, interesting figures, and stats. And if you followed my train of thought, I gave you certain websites to go and visit. Number three, which should have been number one, by the way, find your voice, find your message, your essence, your assignment, and you will naturally be exciting and interesting every time you speak. It will just resonate with the people, the fact that this man is talking from the standpoint of conviction. Number four, be interested to be interesting. To be interested in what? Interested in life, in people, in patterns, and in power. Those are the core pillars. Every speaker or any individual should be interested in people, life, patterns, and power. And then we said that you also want to do audience analysis. Audience analysis is another way to be an engaging speaker. Demographical analysis, psychographical analysis, and situational analysis. Those things will make you an engaging speaker. Do your analysis of your audience, because when you do analysis of an audience and then you engage the audience, it results to audience appeal. So audience analysis plus audience engagement equals audience appeal. I hope you got that. Then we also said that you should learn how to tell good stories. Learn how to tell good, fantastic stories. Stories will put you, will make you very exciting. And I talked about the 5 elements of good storytelling. And then, what other things we looked at today? We said you've got to be passionate about what you're doing. Very important. To sprinkle humor, if you can, in your presentation. And then we said engage in a conversation with your audience, which is very vital. And then we concluded by saying that you need to dress to impress. I hope this makes sense. If you're watching this on YouTube and you love what you hear, you want to get more quality videos like this, click on the subscribe button and you get to follow me and get more information for free like this. And you can get notifications of the videos every time I post them on YouTube by clicking on the notification button, and you're good to go. My name is George Asian. I am your life coach, motivational speaker, and peak performance consultant. I will see you some other time. God bless.